tied up here. And looks like we got both the YouTubes and the TikToks within reason here. Oh my goodness. All right. How we doing, people? Let me get all our stuff pulled up. If you're popping in over on YouTube to my left here, let me know if you can hear me. It looks like we're all connected, but I want to make sure. And I don't usually says that, but okay. Boom. This stand is awfully wobbly. So I got a solution. I'm gonna pull this live up over here. Do it that way. Look like me in the future. Nice. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good at least. Could be wrong. Who knows? Bro, you look like me in the future. What does that mean? It says lol. You know what's annoying? Oh, yes. I usually start with some updates. Hello. Good night. I usually say good morning because I'm usually doing this stuff in the morning, but I've honestly been doing lives a little bit later recently. Um, but yeah, so training, which was freaking awesome, all on a bunch of herbs, a bunch of mushrooms, and a couple, individual things that we use for labs and just taking stressors off of everybody. Angelic, is that your name? It's in cursive. Angelic, I'm gonna say. Hello. And now bye bye. But yeah, so we did a little quarterly training. That was freaking awesome. And then that went all the way till 2, 3 p.m., which was pretty crazy. After that, though, we did, or I did, a bunch of video editing, and I use Opus Clips for the software there. And it was, are we talking about YouTube? In a minute. Um, and this is kind of part of that story because when I was doing a bunch of editing earlier today, it took like a bunch of hours, way too long. But either way, I use Opus Clips, and it's like this AI software that basically you take a big long live, like the ones I typically do, and then make a bunch of clips out of them. But the freaking every time I submit one of those live streams into there, the freaking audio is completely off from my voice the entire time. So it's like, what the hell? But um, can you accept me? I haven't talked American in my life. And then Mr. W, no problem. Can you accept me? I don't know what you mean by accept you, but we accept you. But either way, what else did I do? Bunch of video editing. Got kind of pissed off because of the Opus Clips thing. Found another route, so started doing some editing through CapCut and all the things there. Um, yeah, that was very annoying because I have basically it's a paid software, Opus Clips, and I have a bunch of credit hours for individual uses. Basically, a credit equals a minute. Um, and we can get to health questions here in a second too. I'm just kind of rambling about the day before as we get people coming on in here. And Stormy, all right, we got a health question in there, so we'll tackle that in a second. After I finish ranting, um, I guess that was pretty much it. Yeah, the Opus Clips thing kind of pissed me off because that's like the fastest way and best way to do a bunch of editing all in one sweep, and it was totally disabled. So I was like, frick. Um, but we found another way. I released some sassy videos too today. There was only one sassy one, but I thought it was funny. And where are we at now? From Germany. Can I ask you a question? High cholesterol, of course. Figure out why it's high because you don't want to end up in the trap that most people get in, which is like the Dr. Oz effect, when you pretty much get told like red yeast, yeah, red yeast extract will lower your cholesterol. That's like, oh my goodness, guys, why is the cholesterol high? It could be high for so many reasons. Usually it's some inflammatory stimulus going on, or you got hormonal issues, or the body's trying to do some healing in some way. The cholesterol demand increases, so it's going to go higher. And there's like very, very, very few times that it is actually genetic. And usually that person has that confirmed at that point, but typically not. And how you get cholesterol to normalize, finding the immune triggers and the sugar issues and the liver issues and all those things are going on because 80% of that is your body actually creating that cholesterol demand to get the healing done, to build steroid hormones and have things go that way. So, okay, now that I'm sure there's some responses in here. Um, what the hell happened? Rip, lol, she needs a man. That's funny. Are you a doctor? Can I ask you a question? I am a doctor of chiropractic wellness way and actually opening up my own franchise right now, which is pretty much a health restoration clinic from basically a natural point of view. How can we stand in between functional medicine and typical allopathic medicine and say, okay, wait, why are these people having these symptoms and how do you actually rebuild their body? Because, I mean, for crying out loud, I don't know of a single thing that actually rebuilds the body that is not from this earth. So, there's a ton of stuff that we can use in our arsenal, but then having the best functional labs out there to assess what's happening and then what to do about it from a food, from a lifestyle, from a supplementation standpoint, and the goal being to get you back to normal. So, okay, back to the comments. Says, I think so, from Germany. Then there's Canadian or USA from the US, actually in New Jersey right now. Boom, boom, boom. Comments being filtered. What the hell? I don't want them filtered. And the effect from when you get a Coast Guard physical. Oh no, my future self. Do you have in there a girlfriend? No. Do you know the effect that will have during a Coast Guard physical? You know anything about the Coast Guard physical? For jet boat tour captains. I don't know, honestly. I don't know too much about that. I'll be straight up honest with you. But I'm sure, he says facts, New Jersey's fire. New Jersey's fire, but it's just expensive as hell to live here. It's like crazy. Because I lived in Wisconsin for a while. Um, and my car insurance was $63. I came here and it was like 200 and something. So I switched to a different thing. I'm like, what? 200 something? Freaking crazy. What happens after we die? I don't know. I'd like to believe in God. He's got something in store. I know that there's a God and I'm not him, that's for sure. Is it most likely he will have a heart problem? Okay, wait. Stormy, a comment from you somewhere. I have it pulled up on my computer, so it's easier to scroll that way, and then I don't have to make an earthquake with the camera every time. Okay, all I see was you had a question about cholesterol, and then it went right to the Coast Guard thing. So I feel like something got. Is it most likely he will have a heart problem for the high cholesterol? I mean, there, when cholesterol is high, that doesn't mean that there's a heart problem. If that's what you're asking, it means that there's an issue, but it doesn't tell you what. That would be what we'd have to find. He's on medicine, so on medicine for high cholesterol, which really that's shutting down a pathway in the liver to create it. So the being addressed, it's just being inhibited through a liver pathway, which it runs in his family. That's every single patient I've ever had says the same thing. And then when the cholesterol goes back to normal, I'm like, wow, I changed your genetics, which is not true. It's just, it wasn't actually genetics. So, yeah, I hear that a lot. I know it's kind of weird hearing that. I know it's kind of like shocking. But yeah, I've, we as a wellness way have a very different opinion on that. But is leaky gut related to type 2 demand ischemia? Very interesting. I mean, the main contributors that I see leaky gut really coming from is dysbiosis and gluten being consumed in really high amounts. So, pretty much every American at this point. The type 2 demand ischemia, I will flat out tell you, I'm honestly not sure. It could be. And really, mental stress can do it too. Given that you don't properly sterilize the food entering in the GI, and then there's an immune response that occurs, and now that expansion within the GI, those cells that line it are only one cell layer thick. So now those cell walls get broken through, and you have big passage for food to pass through, and hence leaky gut. So um, I see more chemical and immune factors at bay there, though, that are really linked to it. So, mm, kind of. What about hurt pain? What about pain? Is that from stress? I mean, if you have so much stress go on for, a constant period of time, like there's no let up, I myself, and actually people in my family too, if something stressful is happening, whether it's from work or whatever, you're going to get tight shoulders, tight neck. You're going to have arthritic areas become more hypersensitive to pain signals. So, I mean, yeah, in a weird way, you can have that, but um, there's multiple factors there. It's not just going to be one that leads to pain. You can have, I mean, the degeneration that takes place for everybody pretty much. Having a phone nowadays is a hazard because you're constantly looking at your freaking belly button. Complete, opposite of that cervical curve is taken out. So, bum, bum, bum. What are the long-term effects? Can this make him? Will make him tired. There will be a ton of joint pain associated with that too, and that's really from not just one or two things, but once you start to inhibit things like CoQ10, like it's illegal to not give CoQ10 as a supplement to somebody that's on a statin in Canada because it has such an inhibitory effect on that there's now downstream effects elsewhere. But you can look that up. You can look up on Hippocrates is a great resource. Whether you're just looking at a single thing, whether it's an herb or whatever you're taking, and then you can actually use a combined feature for if you're on multiple things, and now it can cross look at those and say, hey, this is something you may want to bring up, blah blah blah. Two things contradict each other, but there's long-term effects to anything that you do, even in the natural world. I mean, it's just not as much of a risk factor because really the only negative side effect to taking something natural is that it costs money, is that it's a smaller wallet. So there's that one. But to anything that you do, there's a consequence to it. But you eat McDonald's, never. It doesn't rot. That should tell you something. It's not food. Food rots, right? Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Wow, that is a crazy name. What were you talking about with leaky gut? We were just saying there was a question earlier about it, and really the two main features there are excess gluten being consumed and dysbiosis, whether that be from different microbial imbalances, which can be parasitic. So, and In that fungal story too, there's also mycotoxins. So this the mold story on things too. Bum, bum, bum. Mr. W, you're funny dude. From what I've gathered so far. What pisses me off is I got two phones right now. One's on YouTube, and the quality of the camera, for some reason, it's the same exact phone, but the YouTube stream is just like the light is super bright here. I can't even focus that. There's no focus feature. The TikTok camera here is freaking awesome. But then when I take the freaking TikTok stream and download it and put it in Opus Clips, shit doesn't work. Pisses me off. Like, if you can't tell, I'm still bothered by the Opus Clips thing. How can you confuse on getting girls? I don't know what that means. I thought leaky gut was due to chronic alcohol consumption and genetic links to poor gut lining. I will disagree with the genetic link portion. That's just a really small portion size of people, but the alcohol feature is actually pretty accurate. And just further back to the dysbiosis factors, because when you are consuming alcohol, you're going to have dysbiosis. You're going to have non-functional commensal bacteria, which dysbiotic. They're non-functional now. And that's where the bloating and the immune responses come into play, the acid reflux, the depression, or even inability to handle certain stresses and make happy neurotransmitters in the brain. And yeah, from that process that's going to follow chronic alcohol consumption, totally. And that's, there's going to be brewer's yeast allergies there too from the beer and the wine or whatever is being done there. So I agree for YKB. Pretty cool there. Pretty freaking cool. For a 8 p.m. live, I'm surprised that TikTok isn't busier. Usually we're a lot busier. And we have somebody on YouTube watching. They haven't commented yet. Who are you? Maybe I can see him from the desktop thing. From the YouTube thing. Oh, I have a community guideline violation on YouTube, which was probably the one I cursed in. What? That's not even the video I thought would happen. That is crazy. I'm going to take action. What the hell? This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. Is donating plasma safe? There's some people that I'm like, you better get some blood taken, because I mean, sometimes you just have very high amounts of ferritin or very high amounts of iron, and now you're going to oxidize red blood cells way quicker. And that's really common in guys. But can it be hurtful? Maybe if you're anemic, but that's about it. Um, that's so funny because TikTok gave me but I was able to fight them on the guidelines or community guideline warning that I was given, which really was like, it's so funny because I was telling people to avoid sugar. And it's like, this is a harm to society. And it's like, what? I'm pretty sure the sugar being consumed in the United States is a harm to society. Plus, all the downstream effects I see every day on labs of patients. This world is just insane. I'm going to take action here. I'm going to submit an appeal. Oh, I don't get to comment on anything. Wonderful. That is so funny. I can't believe that it wasn't the other sassy video that I posted. I thought it was going to be the other one that gets taken down, but apparently not. Apparently not. I wonder if um, we gave up / cut sugar. and you lost 20 pounds. Look at that, Nettie. But I'm a menace to society, Nettie, according to um, TikTok guidelines. But you know what? I was able to fight him on it. I think it was just some AI um, thing that fiddles through all the videos and caught it and just flagged it for whatever. But yeah, you're you're on the right thing there. So, okay, either way, that's beautiful though. Look at you losing 20 pounds. That's awesome. I love that. Mm-mm. Well, hey, beautiful stuff, people. Let's see. We're light on the questions today. TikTok's usually amazing at asking questions. I could pull up the old ones. Let's get something. Here we go. These are from DMs and all sorts of stuff. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Oh, I got one from TikTok. Here, wait, there we go. Hello. Hello. Can a little sickness like congestion, sore throat, stuffy nose cause a heart rate increase temporarily? It can, um, and that's an adaptation. So your body's trying to adapt to that. And really, for something like potassium is going to be deficient a large portion of the time, and stomach acid plays into this too. And if you are starting to support that stomach acid with something like apple cider vinegar, great things you could do there, and also a little bit of potassium citrate because when you're typically getting sick, you're going to be flushing things out like crazy, and you're going to run low on a lot of electrolytes. So this is where I actually love something like shaga mushroom because you can inhibit the replication of a lot of the viruses out there. I'm not going to say a certain one because I don't know what's going to happen with these community guidelines. But either way, you're going to have a ton of potassium within medicinal mushrooms, amongst a whole bunch of other constituents too. Um, Different complexes of vitamins, whether that be fat soluble or water soluble, and micro and some macronutrients in there too. So, been doing tons of potassium, sodium, magnesium, and vitamin C. Okay. Sourcing, that's going to be my next pick there on the electrolytes that you are doing or the stomach acid feature. So, if that is a piece weren't really supporting today, um, go ahead and get some apple cider vinegar going and have some protein. Okay, I missed a bunch of comments now. Do I got a lot of inflammation around? Oh my goodness, this guy. Oh man. I mean, I like humor, but no, no, that's not adjustment worthy for the username 69420. Oh man. 58, walk 10,000 steps a day, 100 over 60. Look at you. Damn, Nettie, cutting the sugar and look what you're doing. That's beautiful. Nettie's working on her things. Lord Bolt, what's going on? Good evening to you. Lord Bolt's a long time watcher. She's been watching me from day one. I'm surprised Lane isn't in here. But you know what? Nick Mays, he's on the number one leaderboards right now. So relaxing in bed. Yeah, I'm probably hitting the hay pretty soon here too. We're on Eastern time zone now. Body's fully adjusted to that. So, oh, that's what I was gonna do. Pull up the other questions. Okay. As I'm waiting for more to come in from you guys, I got a bunch of them. And this one, can anxiety actually come from the gut? It can. A vast amount, I would say the majority, depending on the source you read, sometimes it is 85, sometimes it's 90, but a ton of the serotonin produced in your body is coming from the GI. So now the happy neurotransmitters created in the gut, when there's not something like dysbiosis going on, there's not inflammation going on, there's not leaky gut going on, you're going to be able to create and produce a lot of the happy neurotransmitters like serotonin, but also dopamine and other great things that come from the GI. This is where cutting the processed foods, turning to things like fermented veggies. This is where I actually started my own sourdough starter recently. Been on a little journey with that thing. It's kind of confusing, but we're doing it because there's great probiotic benefits to that. And not really just the sourdough in itself, but all fermented veggies. I also like pickled veggies too because you're removing some of the anti-nutrient defenses that are on those plants and plant chemicals there because they do have to protect themselves. Obviously, the walking after meals, the vibration plates after meals, those can be doing wonders for a lot of people that have slower motility of the GI. But really getting a GI test is going to be the only way to know how to rebuild those barriers, how to rebuild the populations in there, and get rid of some overgrowths that will be there too. Bacterial, fungal, parasitic, whatever they be. Doesn't mean you need to go out and buy ivermectin from Tractor Supply and start doing your own cleanse. That is not what I'm here doing. I honestly hate that because it's just chasing a bug and not rebuilding the system and the environment that allowed that bug to take place and live within the GI. Um, and if you're really curious about it too, you can do like a neurotransmitter test and actually have that mapped out too. So, but it looks like that bought us some time to get a bunch of questions in here. Ba-bum. Lord Bolt, I'm an MD. No, I'm not. I'm a chiropractor and health restoration doc for the Wellness Way. Oh my goodness, Laura Bolt did her food allergy test yesterday, and they honestly come back super quick. So, Britt, I love it. Bad genes can be turned off. That's true. Epigenetics. Britt, I love it. Just like it got turned on after years. Hell yeah. I love it. Okay, wait. I lost my place. Will recovery be easier with lots of vitamins and minerals and getting micronutrients and getting every micronutrient on the planet? Recovery will be better, but this is where I love medicinal mushrooms and elderberry. Actually, things like shaga and elderberry. Wow, things like shaga and elderberry combined, because both of them help with the replication there and inhibiting some of the replication of that viral protein, and now building the innate immune cells, which not, not many things on the planet do that. But yeah, if it's viral, then targeting that a little bit better with more focus on that, totally. And you're going to get a bunch of micronutrients from there, and minerals and vitamins, which are micronutrients. But either way, I believe the gut is truly the second brain. The gut is the second brain. Um, and I'll do a little side tangent on this too, just because I got to cover this. Not everything comes from the gut. Can we please stop with that? Internet. It's not anybody in the chat. I'm just saying internet as a whole, because there's so many factors that affect you, and it's not all GI related. Um, Going to work Monday through Friday, that's not GI related, but it can stress you out like crazy and make you feel very tired on Saturday and Sunday. So not everything comes from the gut, but it is the second brain. So Karina, working with Dr. Brad, gonna order some sauerkraut. Nice. Yeah, and I don't know where you're living at, but even where I was at in Wisconsin and where I'm at now in New Jersey, Small Town Cultures, great brand that has pickled and fermented veggies already for you. If not, I mean, I'd invite you to basically look into making your own pickled and fermented veggies because it's going to be a lot more cost effective. But do you think cutting out food allergies out for 4 months is long enough to start adding them back in? No. We thought that collectively for a while, but then with a bunch of research that's been coming out and talking to the lab themselves, the best changes so that you don't have a crazy list the second, third, fourth time around is to wait roughly a year. if you've done a ton of GI work in that first, couple months, I would say like, 8, 10 months is the soonest I would do it. And that's really only for somebody that is just starting their health journey. So it takes a little bit longer, especially if it's only one food I eat that's on the food list. It depends on the food, especially if it's like brewer's yeast, baker's yeast, wheat. Then those, I'm sorry, but those are satanic. What is the best way to quit smoking? Wow. Um, well, you got to start somewhere, and reducing the milligrams per day is the best way to start approaching that. And as you start to do that, replacing and rebuilding your brain with healthy sources of dopamine, like Mucuna seed. Mucuna seed, the highest dopamine containing plant on the whole planet, and actually restores the dopamine centers within the brain. Sorry, it's the end of the day here, so I'm a little slow, but I've been doing that periodically for some time, especially when you're trying to get really motivated, really focused, have to get a ton of things done. Bakun is your best friend, but also you're trying to look for a dopamine hit. So now you start rebuilding those centers of the brain, and holy crap, now you don't have that craving as much. Um, yeah, and I'll leave it there. There's a different thing that you could be doing too, but that's not even legal, so we're not even going to go there. But yeah, that's one way, Makuna seed, and switching the form. So if you're just trying to not cause cancer in your own body and switch to a healthier form in the meantime, as you start to reduce those milligram amounts down, you could do something like Nick Knack Naturals, and that is by far the cleanest product on the planet for patients that are trying to do that. Crap. Wait, let me go back here. We had Brit's comment, which I loved. Valentina, how can be how can you recover from peptic ulcers? My stomach hurts for days. Um, after I work my abs at all. Thank you. Yeah, I would be curious if there's a current ulcer going on right now. Best way by far, do a 3-day fast. So that's kind of challenging, but a 3-day fast, maybe even some bone broth protein is the only thing you are consuming during that time, with some licorice root extract, that you can have great effects on something like a stomach ulcer. But I would want you to send me a DM. There's no cost associated with this, but I would just want to make sure we probe some more questions for one thing, and then have some guidance here. Natural products to help with smoking. We talked about the Makuna seed and the Knickknack Naturals. Karina, I'm in California. Does it taste gross? We're talking about the fermented foods there. I need you to get rid of that relationship with food and taste and emotion as best you can, because all the good stuff doesn't taste that good. So, does it taste gross? Maybe at first. The small town culture stuff tastes freaking awesome, um, especially the pickled and fermented onions. Goodness gracious. And the radish. They also have jalapenos, a whole bunch of good stuff. But what causes malabsorption in stool, like on stool test results? It depends on what is being malabsorbed. So you can have improper breakdown of proteins. You can have improper protein and proper breakdown of fats, um, carbs too. So it would depend what type of macronutrient that you're having trouble breaking down, but then supporting that organ system there too. So if it's fats, you want to look at supporting the gallbladder. If it's carbs, you want to look at supporting the pancreas. If it's proteins, you want to look at supporting the stomach and stomach acid. So yeah, it kind of depends. Do you think healing the gut is pretty easy, especially if consistent and strict? If it's mild, um, if you're trying to restore this problem and have it not come back, then it's going to take some time, energy, and money, which are your only resources. But for somebody like you, it's not going to take as long because I'm just from talking to you on here, I know you're dedicated to this stuff too. So you have the testing for it, you have all the resources, and are willing to put in the work, and you're going to see the results. And your body's meant to heal it itself. That's the whole purpose of our care, is to get out of care. I meant sauerkraut. Sauerkraut, yeah. I mean, you can get some that will add some seasonings in there, make it all fancy, so it's not so brutal. But you know, it's an acquired taste. It's not like eating liver, that's for sure. Ugh. I know I'm spelling it wrong. I spell it wrong every time. Don't even worry about it. I recommend sauerkraut a lot, and I spell it wrong all the time. I love my diet. Um, have not ate cheap foods in a year. Beautiful. Lots of beef, eggs, chicken, fruit, potatoes, raw dairy. Oh man, you're killing it. Do you believe all diseases come from spinal misalignments, like D.D. Palmer? So no. And the actual philosophy there is that it is mental, chemical, and physical stress, or in the actual philosophical terms that we wrote out, it is thoughts, toxins, trauma, or thoughts even in autosuggestions, or the thought generations that you get throughout the day. And they can drive you crazy. Like 85% of anxiety never even happens. It's stuff that you're worrying about that is purely imaginary, because your brain is programmed to identify threats. So whether it is somebody trying to kill you or something that is very minor, your body doesn't really know the difference between the two, because it's designed to protect you from any and all negative threats. So no, Matthew, I'd invite you to read all of the green books, which outline basically what I'm talking about. Um, but yeah, if you're just doing Google searches, medicine's been trying to destroy this profession for 100 years. It's like you're having, this is like saying you trust the government. So it's no. Eating this way helped my dumbbell incline press 120 for reps, and put on 5 to 8 pounds of muscle in 2 years. Holy crap. Pretty awesome. Doing that naturally. It's not good. Says Lane. Come on. Come on. It's not about taste. Okay? It's not about taste. Lane, Karina, you've tried the supplements. These liquid herbs are not about the taste. Neither is the food. But you can have healthy stuff taste pretty good. You just got to do it the right way. But get rid of that relationship with emotion and food, please. Amino acid. Have you worked with kids that have ASD, mold, Lyme? Do you see improvement? Of course. And kids, honestly, are going to do better than most adults, because they don't have a 9 to 5. They don't have a spouse. They don't have their own children. They don't drink. They don't smoke. So their mental, chemical, physical stress is overall low. And they're full of vitality. So they're going to have, I mean, a great defense to these things, and you'll have to do very low dosing. But make sure that you're going to the right doc that's going to do comprehensive labs to figure out the environment, and not chase a bug. Because the Lyme people, the mold people, the ASD, those are obviously hardcore things you should seek out for. Those are things that are real. But when the immune response gets insufficient or depleted, you're not going to have the innate and adaptive resources to combat a mycotoxin, a fungus, a bacteria, a parasite, a virus. So build those immune responses back up, heal the barriers that fight those responses, feed into the bone marrow, feed into the innate and adaptive immune cells, work on detoxification according to the best comprehensive labs out there, which is all of what we run here too. Then yeah, totally. Karina Lowell, hey girl. Hey, we got some friends in the chat. He said all disease. No, 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 no. Dis-ease, not disease. DIS, the little dash, the M dash thing that ChatGPT does that's annoying. And then ease, dis-ease, not disease. This is not treating disease. This is treating dysfunction to get your health back, to restore your health and get all your function back. Health is the F word. And when you have constant mental, chemical, physical stressors, which is what creates dis-ease, not disease, then your physiology is going to be thrown off. Prime example: car door, finger, smash, heart rate, blood pressure, breathing rate, digestion, mood, everything, stress hormones, everything changes. That was just a physical stressor. So you got to pull away the stressors in your life. You have to identify those on labs. This is why D.D. Palmer worked with medical doctors that would run these labs in his lab. So read the green books if you really want to know that, or if you're just coming on to like create a fuss, then sure. But I mean, whatever. Wayne, that's not even the right thinking, though. It's not true. Okay, Nick, I took Golden Seal. I can tolerate them. Okay, wait. I took Golden Seal from the website. I can tolerate them. I took it that and was not ready for battery acid. Basically saying that Golden Seal tastes like shit, which is true. It does. Um, it does. And there's really, I mean, Zevia, Olipop, you can make things a little bit better by doing that, but it's really tough to hide the taste there. But in terms of physiological effects and function that you're going to have impacted by it, oh my goodness. And this is coming, you could go on PubMed and do research all day long. Beautiful stuff. Matthew, were you unable to get a real job, or do you legitimately enjoy conning people in pain? So I don't know if you know this, um, but several people in the chat have been through this care, and the whole purpose of it is to restore their health so they don't have these issues anymore. We've done this with tens of thousands of patients. This is why there's more and more locations every month. Yeah, I think the people trying to peddle you back in their office is the allopathic realm, because those solutions don't restore your health. They combat symptomatology and force functions or manipulate certain pathways in the body, which is not what we do because supplements don't do that. So, and yeah, the cost over time, if you want to go there too and talk about cost, I mean, the ultimate scam is just keeping people coming back over and over and over, spending the same amount or more, and same frequency of visits over and over. Where our care is stacked up in the beginning, as long as the patient follows what they need to do, they get better. Things parse out more and more. You come off more and more supplementation. You run less and less labs, and you actually receive the benefit of care. Go to any page that we have and look at the patient testimonials. I mean, come on. And then when every biomarker that we run gets better, and they say, "Oh my goodness, I went back to my doc. He said I don't need this medication anymore." It's like, great. So your MD's patient and my patient got better, and then the MD pulled you off the med because your nothing says you need it anymore. Isn't this like what we need right now? Especially when chronic disease just keeps climbing, you know? And it's funny too, because like this just further peddles what we're doing. Like the haters, the market's gonna find what it wants the most. This is something you don't understand. This is like when you try and um, shadow ban or shut people down on the internet. The market finds them and the way they think and pulls it back out because it's needed. So yeah, that's pretty interesting though. Let's keep going. That's a crazy statement. Speaking to a career con man, so he deserves the amount of respect any con man deserves. Con men don't help people though. you know? Like, I wouldn't have patients messaging me saying, "Thank you so much. I've never been able to find this type of care anywhere else." Like, it's the complete opposite of what you're saying. Cairo Bro, who hasn't studied physiology, that is all of the schooling that I went through. Biochemistry, we have plenty of hours of biochemistry. Yeah, I'm not talking about drugs and surgery, so don't need to go to med school. You're just pushing his live out. Thank you for spreading the awareness. Exactly. Is that why chiros insist on weekly adjustments? That's not true. If you're focusing on all, and this is just going to further promote what I do. If you're focusing on mental, chemical, and physical stress, which is what outlines the profession, you're going to impact pain better than any other clinician on the planet. So now you need less and less care over time, whether that is consultation, whether that is food guidance, whether that's adjusting, whether that's mental, chemical, or physical. The whole purpose of these visits is to teach the person how to take care of themselves so they don't need me as much. Only when they screw up is when they come back. When they eat the bad stuff, when they get sassy, when they stress out, when they work out too hard or not enough. So, yeah, that's another false statement. When you get med issues, go see your other chiro bros and don't see us allopathic docs. That's not true either. There's a time, we're not against medicine. That's the part that's even more confusing. And I'll give you credit. There's a lot of people on the internet that are peddling some stuff. But if somebody has a terrible strep throat infection, please go to an MD so that they can give you antibiotics, because if that infection moves to your kidney, now it's a now it's a bad day. That can affect your heart, that can affect your kidney. So, yeah, I actually agree with you on that. Would you use that same argument for psychics? Are they legitimate too? That doesn't make sense. Anyways, Lane, second day of weaning off Lexapro. I have a headache and body aches, but not too shabby yet. And this is under guidance of your MD. So, support your body as much as you can functionally and follow their guidance, because they're going to know what's best here. Should I expect my doctor to discover that's why I'm so bloated? Um, wait, what did you say there? Should I expect my GI doctor to discover why I'm so bloated, or which one? So, I mean, at least from what I can say in my own profession and experience, a GI doc is going to come into play when there is a 911 scenario, when there is bleeding, when there is severe pain, when there is a tumor, when there is a medical scenario. Um, However, is that going to rebuild the system and help you identify the triggers there? I've never had somebody come in from a GI doc and say they helped me so much. I've never seen that happen, which is crazy. But yeah, you probably need something like a food allergy test done and a Genova test done, so that can show you your immune triggers in regards to food, so you can start calming inflammation down that way. And then, and I think Chair 133, you were in here before, or not yesterday, Saturday. But either way, then doing that Genova is going to show you how to repair the GI lining, how to restore the environment that led to the bloating adaptation in the first place. Because here, bloating is an adaptation. But now to what? And that's what we got to figure out. So that's what we do all day long. And are they going to try and find those triggers? I've never seen that done. So I wish I could say yes, which it's kind of disheartening that I can't say yes to that. But it's a system designed for medications and surgery. So I'm the vegetarian. So I would actually, at the very least, start doing. It's from a company called Blueprint. This is like the only vegan-based best source protein that I've seen out there because I do have patients that are vegans and vegetarians, and they just want to keep it that way. Which is, hey, that's what you want to do. We got to work within your own boundaries. Got to respect that. But yeah, it's called Blueprint, and it is by far the best one that I've ever seen for vegans and vegetarians. So that's something that you could do. But either way, and yeah, the vegetarian thing, I got a little spicy when I was talking to you about that. So I mean, you can do it's just harder to do. So it's not that you can't do it, it's that it's a lot harder to do. Um, just make sure you're getting great sources of protein in there. Keep the fiber up. You probably have no issue with fiber and things like that, but you do want to find the immune triggers and how to get the body back to normal and how to repair the actual system there. So you got to find somebody that's going to do that for you, um, which is pretty much what we do here. We got haters in the comments. That's cool. Promote some stomach acid though. Here, I want you to walk away with three things: the Blueprint protein, the mixing of aloe vera juice with apple cider vinegar, and you're going to basically follow what's on the bottle there. This is a starting point. You got to take one step in a good direction here, and you're going to do those before meals. Just follow the doses on the bottle, combine those together so that it doesn't basically make you feel like you're dying. And then you'll be able to get promotion of stomach acid, get a lot more protein in from the food that you are eating, and rebuild some of the mucus lining in there too, which that's more some from the aloe vera benefits. But um, yeah, I would need to know more details on what you're doing specifically with the vegetarian thing, just because it's a little more tricky to guide on that. Um, but food allergy testing and a GI test, and you'll be able to figure out not just how you find that bloating, but how do you get it back to normal and not have this issue anymore. If you look up Blueprint, yeah, I'm going to Google it for you here too. Just do Blueprint and then protein. Let's try that. Should come right up, which, yeah, it comes right up. So now you got three things to walk away with. Boom. Hopeful? Definitely. But yeah, at least starting with that food allergy test, now you can just start implementing a lot of these things in the first place. So for that matter, it's a great thing to be like, okay, cool. Now I know my immune triggers. Now I know what I need to be doing from a food standpoint. And now you can start to work further and further, doing things like chamomile, doing things like albizia, starting to calm the immune stressors down and starting to rebuild a lot of those mucosal cells and having a little bit of an antimicrobial benefit there too. Um, where was Nick's? Crazy to me, the US spends 5 trillion a year on healthcare, but it's the sickest country in the world. Yup. You don't got to do all that. Just recommend healthy foods and fiber. I mean, if you saw these patients and what they're coming in with and how much it takes from effort from them, it's not just whole foods and fiber. She's a vegan, she's or a vegetarian. She's already doing that. So, crazy. But hey, I mean, this is why people leave your care and come to us. But All right, I was gonna stop at 8:30, but we kept going. Um, Chat kind of slowed down here, so we will be back tomorrow. We did almost an hour. Holy crap! Um, but good stuff, my people. I'll be back here a little bit earlier tomorrow, and then we'll get her going. But good stuff, everybody. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.